Hello, and welcome to today's Human Capital Matters, an interactive business event and conversation focusing on developing and communicating the business continuity plan. I want to thank you for joining us. My name is Bo Birch, and I'll be your host and facilitator. Please send your questions and comments you'd like to share with our speaker today through the chat portal. Our firm, Human Capital Solutions, has a dedicated email, so you may also forward your questions and comment to workingremotely@humancs.com. Be sure to follow our LinkedIn page, Human Capital Solutions, Inc., for updates on our next Human Capital Matters segment that'll be scheduled in January 2021. Our special guest speaker today is Mr. Jason Pollard. Welcome to the show, Jason. Great to have you with us.
Hey, Bo. Thanks for having me here. Look forward to spending some time with you guys today.
Yes, sir. Likewise. Jason is Southwire's Vice President of Talent Acquisition and Communications. He's a third-generation Southwire employee who began his broadcast news career as a photojournalist for ABC News affiliate WLOX. Jason joined Southwire's corporate communications team in 1998 and has served in various communication and human resource roles, including human resource manager at the Heflin plant in Alabama, and most recently Senior Director of Corporate Communications. Jason will lead efforts to help meet Southwire's present and future talent needs to further develop meaningful onboarding experiences for new employees and to continue to play an integral role in Southwire's internal and external communication strategies. Jason is a strong advocate for the business and its relationship with the local community. He was a founding member of the Project GIFT and continues to be active in the organization through leadership and service. He lives in Ranburne, Alabama with his wife, Jessica, and two children, Jonah and Jaden. Again, it is a pleasure to have you. Jason, we'll move right into the first question. Tell us, if you would, a bit about Southwire. Who are you guys and what is Southwire's niche in the business marketplace?
Well, thanks, Bo, and thanks for the long and lengthy introduction. Glad to be here. So a little bit about Southwire. We are a wire and cable manufacturer. We are rooted in West Georgia. We're celebrated 70 years of being in business this year, privately held. A little bit about our history. Our founder was also from West Georgia, and the family still owns the company today and are very integral in the company's long-term view. As far as who we are today, we've got just around 7,000 employees, and we're global. We're all over the world. We have 35 manufacturing locations all over, along with 12 what we call customer service centers. If you think about logistics, those are our locations. As far as revenue, we did about $5.7 billion in revenue back in 2019. Some fun facts that I like to share, but that I think are really cool is over half of the world's copper passes through our SCR system during its lifetime. And when I say SCR, let me explain. SCR stands for Southwire Continuous Rod. And that really was the revolutionary invention that we had in our company, where you could continuously cast copper. And obviously copper is such an integral part of the wire and cable mix for us. Another fun fact is half of the wire and cable used to transmit and distribute electricity, we produce it in the US. So overhead transmission lines, that's a big play for us. And then one of my favorites is half of all the homes in the US contain some electrical wire product that we at Southwire make every day. From a scale standpoint, North America, we're the largest wire and cable manufacturer, period. Globally, we're number 3 in the world. We really strive to connect on solutions. Not only wire and cable, we play in the tool space, the component and the cable management space as well. Obviously, our bread and butter is wire and cable, and some of our diversification is going to be in the tools, components, and cable management space. So a pretty interesting company.
Excellent. Yeah, you're vast, and I like the history of the family-owned company, Jason. So Jason, Southwire has certainly a significant responsibility to your employees and customers and the communities that you serve. how do you manage and how are you managing these various dynamic relationships?
So I take that 7,000 employee number and multiply it by 2. When you think about how we impact our communities, there's families attached to that as well. Not only are our 7,000 employees, but their families and whatever that family makeup looks like. So, we focus heavily on giving back and creating a shared value model of giving back. So when I say shared value, Bo, think in terms of mutually beneficial for the community's customers, also mutually beneficial for Southwire. We really bucket that into a couple of things. Community involvement, number one, community involvement and being a part of the community, not only in giving of money, but giving of talent. Economic growth, right? Thinking about the future, thinking about talent for the future. So we invest and partner with and have some incredible partnerships locally in our communities where we invest on the educational front with students and college and career development. And then on the environmental side, Southwire is definitely 100% focused on being a good steward in its communities. And all those things from a shared value standpoint work well together to the end result of affecting our customers and our community and our employees.
Thank you, Jason. Way back in March, our team got together here at Human Capital Solutions and many executives in those days, their hair was on fire. Lockdown, employees are sent home. Company officials thinking, can we get people paychecks? Can we get our orders delivered or an essential business or not? And so we got together and said, hey, what can we do for the business community? So we came up with Human Capital Matters and developing and communicating the business continuity plan. So here we are now, still in the pandemic, and we still are in conversations about business continuity, right? We've seen the pendulum go from, this is new, what do? We need a plan, to now people are coming back to work. Some are, some not. And now we hear some companies now in the spring are actually planned to try to return most of the workforce. So how has the pandemic, Jason, changed or perhaps even transformed Southwire?
Obviously, I don't want to single us out. Every other company has had to walk this journey just like we have. But, for us, it really has been, when you say business continuity, we were having the discussion around COVID in January, actually, Bo, not knowing what it would turn into and how it would directly impact us. Number one, safety. We're an essential business. We knew that. We know that our products are critical for the day-to-day success of our country. And so instantly, some of these makeshift hospitals that went up way back in March and April, our product was there. Some of these projects on infrastructure that had to continue, our product had to be there. So we had to really look at taking care of our workforce safely, but also being able to provide, these essential products. I mentioned earlier that we're the largest wire and cable manufacturer in North America. That just comes with the resume. When you're that good, when you're that large, you're that important, you've got to do what it takes to be, there for the good times and the bad times. So, we really took what we did well pre-COVID and accelerated it across the board. And everything we do, we created this rally cry, and we still have it today, called Unite One Southwire. And Unite One Southwire really focuses on 3 strategic pillars for us. That's our employees, our customers, and our communities. Bo, nothing new, stuff we've done before, but just an accelerated focus around how we do the things we're doing at a faster pace, at a safer pace during the pandemic.
Thank you, Jason. What would you say, Jason, are specific areas of your business that perhaps stand out as Southwire undergoes this transformation?
Well, I mean, there's no way you've got me here with my communication experience that I can't talk about communications. It has been such a vital guiding tool for us at Southwire. We communicate to our employees daily, regularly, but during the pandemic, we had to again, accelerate those communications, but be very transparent. The one thing that I focus on is with our CEO. We do weekly updates to the entire organization on where we stand in the pandemic, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Bo, transparency has been key, and that's the one thing that people are looking for. It's not a lot of bells and whistles. It's tell us where we're at this week, tell us what we need to be prepared for. So from a communication would have to be the tip of the spear for me and my experience at Southwire right now, living in this moment.
So Jason, in normal times, we walk down the hall in the office and we can speak to someone by the water fountain. We can go into the conference room. We can call an all-employee meeting and get people together. Give us an example of what you guys have done to leverage technology to communicate with your employees.
Yeah, that's a great question, Bo. And again, I'm not trying to single out our efforts. I know every company is, at least in the manufacturing space, is how do we get information to our people fast, quickly, accurate, transparently. The one thing that I'm really proud of is we launched in June an employee app, mobile app. We all know the importance of the mobile device, right? We all have one, two, maybe even three of them on us. But the one thing that we accelerated during the pandemic was adding an employee app. And we used an app that many of you may have heard of in the education space called Remind. So the Remind app has been very successful in education. The one thing that they're doing now is they've reached out to manufacturing and other businesses because of their simplicity. A couple of things Remind has allowed us to do is create an overarching communication channel, but more importantly, a localized communication channel. As we've been going through the pandemic, every geographical space in the country and even around the world has had hotspots and not hotspots. So what Remind has allowed our site leaders to do is to localize and address the needs of their locations, which was something we didn't have before. We always had this e-blast and this mass communication tool, but how do we localize? The thing I'm most proud of with our employee app, though, was it was a voluntary opt-in. It wasn't mandated by Southwire. We didn't say you had to. It was voluntary, and literally got the numbers last night. We're just under 90% of our workforce has opted in and downloaded the Remind app. And that speaks volumes on overall messaging in our company and the trust that we've established and the responsibility to maintain that trust.
Mm-hmm. Great testimony, Jason. We've heard some very inspiring and creative systems and innovations companies have done to overcome this, working remotely and not having normal communications with employees. What would you say may be an example of communicating with your customers and communities you serve in this new environment, Jason?
Yeah, that's again another great question, Bo. In the traditional 2019 setting, our sales groups, interact in person with our customers, right? We go out, we shake a hand, we look you in the eyes, and we want to let you know that we got the product that can help you be successful. We had to shift that concept, right? With COVID, obviously, 6 feet, close contact, that changed our whole approach. But again, this is where hats off to our teams and the resilience and adaptability of our Southwire team to look at leveraging virtual. So we use virtual technology now through our Thorne Innovation Center. And we have actually trained over 8,000 contractors since the COVID situation back in March with the pure thought of, hey, here's the Southwire solutions. Let us show you how they work safely. If you're interested in them, we'll get them to you. So again, no different than what you and I are doing right now, using technology to really bridge the gap in this moment of time. And in this case, it's worked well for our customers.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you for that. So as we look to the future, Jason, and give us a peek at Southwire's future. What may we expect as customers and as consumers?
Well, obviously, it's a great time to be at Southwire. I expect incredible growth. Bo, we just announced an acquisition this week of a business down in Crestview, Florida. We've actually made 3 acquisitions during the pandemic. So when I think about what's ahead, growth, we're going to continue to strengthen our core wire and cable business, but we're also going to diversify, and we're going to step into new areas that really supplement what we do well. So when you think about wire and cable, how can we provide a solution, an attachment, a component that would work well with the wire and cable space? So it's a great time to be at Southwire, and it's a great time to come on board and start a career at Southwire.
Mm-hmm. All right, we can go out to the audience and take a look at some questions as we're looking at our chat portal. Let's see. So how has the pandemic, Jason, impacted Southwire's product line demand?
So obviously this has been a different year for us. Everybody calls it the new normal. I just call it the next normal. So we've seen some ups and downs. Let me speak to some things that we know have changed, and that's the retail space and the utility space. Our retail business has grown tremendously, and a lot of do-it-yourselfers have spent a great deal of time, whether they're working remotely at home, or they're just renovating at home, or they're taking advantage of the interest rates that are at an all-time low. A lot of updating and remodeling, and we play heavy in that space. Some of our largest customers are the Home Depots, Lowe's, and Menards of the world. And the do-it-yourself market is growing. So we've reaped the benefit of that. We've been again, our product is top shelf, great stuff. So right place, the right time. Another thing would be the utility business, or the energy, the overhead transmission lines. That's a long-term play for us. It doesn't take a break during COVID. Those build outs are scheduled, and those relationships with our customers in the utility space hasn't stopped. A lot of those projects have continued on out of the need to make sure they're essential. They're so essential to the success and the day-to-day operating of our country. And then one last piece I'd like to add, Bo, we play in the OEM space as well, and specifically the RV market. We've seen an uptick in the RV market as well. I think a lot of families are not getting on planes and taking long trips, so they're buying some RVs and they're hitting your local state and national parks and spending time together. Our products, our wire and cable, go into the RV markets.
Yeah, fascinating, really is. We've got let's see. Let's take a look here. We've got a few more questions coming in. As Remind is an educationally based app, many parents are familiar with it. Did that play into using it for your folks?
Obviously, the situation that we looked at, and that's a great question about Remind, was, is there any overlap? I go back to our employees, right? They have families. So we leverage some of that familiar lingo that's in the educational component, and it's worked well with our employees. So we took advantage of recognition and understanding of how the Remind app is set up and structured. So it's worked to our advantage.
Yes. One of the things we found early in Human Capital Matters was manufacturing was being hit with COVID cases, and it was tough to keep factories open. How have you guys handled the pandemic with keeping manufacturing and your supply chains open and available?
Well, let me talk about our facilities first. I gotta go back to point number one, and that's our employees and making sure they're safe. That's been the consistent statement from the get-go. Not that it has ever wasn't important, but we definitely accelerated that focus on safety. So, how we approach our COVID protocols from day one have not wavered, and we're still focused as we go through whatever wave of this next round of COVID is, Bo. The safety of our people. And we do weekly roundtables with our CEO. We listen, we learn, and we change some of the techniques, but the fundamentals of making sure we control the spread and we address individuals or large groups hasn't changed. It stayed the same. We've been blessed that we've taken care of our people.
Mhm. The next question is sort of a two-part. When we think of Southwire, maybe we don't think of telecommunications, but is there a play for Southwire in 5G? And is there a play for Southwire in the build out of more data centers?
So we focus on a select amount of vertical markets that's built into our strategic plan. And data centers is a heavy play for us in our product. So, the success and the thirst from a global standpoint for more data is a big market for us. So yes, we're playing in the data space. As far as your power over the Ethernet 5G, we're in that as well. 5G would be more of a right now play for us, but we're looking at what we call in the transformational space at stuff like LED lighting, low voltage, all that stuff is stuff we're considering. But yeah, we have our target market verticals in those spaces, and we're looking and we're playing in those today.
Jason, it's been really good to have you with us. I feel your energy, your passion for what you do. And I guess as we take a look at your kids, Jonah and Jaden, you think they're in queue to be a Southwire employee?
I would hope so. I would hope so. I'm encouraging them to do whatever they want to do in their life, but they do know that that their dad and their grandfather and their great grandfather have all been a part of this great company. That I encourage anybody that's looking for a career, give us a shot. We're here.
Well, that's fantastic. I've been to your campus. I hope to get there again when things open up. We thank you so much for joining us and being with us. And good luck to everyone out there, and be safe during these challenging times.
Bo, thank you very much. Happy holidays, my friend.
Thank you so much. Same to you, Jason.